Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Weekly Spark. I'm just gonna go where the page takes me this time. I mean, I know my theme is dolphins, and I have some printed out images that I can use as transfers, but I don't have a big plan for this page. I don't have a lot of mythological references or, ideas floating around in my head. You can see I'm working on the left side of a spread. The previous page was that mandala that I did with the watercolor pencils. So I'm starting out with some paint. Yeah, I've pulled aqua and turquoise because those are my favorites, but they're also my ocean colors. So, that's dolphin inspired. And I'm just kind of rolling with it. I was listening to some music, and so obviously I deleted that audio because, YouTube. So I thought that I would just come in and give you kind of my stream of consciousness thoughts as I was working on it. This turquoise on the bottom got way more intense, and the paler turquoise on the top started to get kind of wiped out, so I'm going to need to work back into that a little bit. Sometimes you can get really nice effects if you spritz this acrylic paint with water and then blot it, because you're basically, peeling, lifting some of the paint off, of course, before it dries all the way. There's kind of a sweet spot in the timing of it before it is too dry, but when it's dry enough that you're not just, blotting off everything that you just put down. And it makes fun scrap paper that you can use for other things. It didn't change the overall page too much, but it did lift off some paint. When in doubt, I use text. You've probably heard me mention before that I have an entire Encyclopedia Britannica that was from my family, from my childhood. And so I will just go in and grab a page at any time. I like it as a neutral background on a page because you can collage that in and immediately banish that, white page that can sometimes just paralyze you and prevent you from starting. So a text base collage down is a great way to start. And I just like it as an element. I like it as kind of gives texture without being words that you need to read. I will take this sec to say I would love to have you subscribe to the channel or give this video a thumbs up. I do post weekly Spark content on Wednesdays. So, do all the YouTube things and leave a comment, hit the notification bell, but definitely check back in with me on Wednesdays for more weekly Spark art journal pages. So for now, back to this spread. So I lightened some areas up with white. That helps a lot. I'm sorry that so much of that pale kind of aqua green was lost. But I'm actually collaging the dolphins in onto paper instead of trying to transfer them directly onto the acrylic paint surface. You can. You can transfer them onto the acrylic paint surface with this blender pen, but you have to wait until the acrylic paint's really dry, and I was kind of in the flow. So a little more text on one side, and then white tissue paper on the other, because that essentially makes an invisible piece once I collage that in there. The white tissue paper just blends right into the background, and it is just as satisfying as if I had put that dolphin transfer directly on the page itself. But it gives you a little more room for error. I mean, if something goes wrong with the transfer, it's a piece of tissue, you throw it away, you start over, instead of having a big smear, error, or tear on your page that you then need to collage over top of. So I'm happy with how things are going. I want some darker blues in here, and right now I'm just layering many scraps of tissue paper trying to build up a little bit of, not necessarily white, but some translucency to cover up the edge of that text paper. So, we'll see. Spraying is an absolute mess, and I usually cover up more of my work table. The fact that I'm spraying this close to a cup of coffee is really living dangerously, but I was holding it down pretty low, so my spray pattern was very tight. Oops, I know there's some of that paper that is exposed, so I need to get a little more spray in there before I put that kind of yellowish green color away. I know it's hard to see on camera where the tape is and where the paper is, but I could tell up close that my line had not been in the right spot. The blue paper at the bottom helps. I'm going to add a third dolphin. I'm doing it onto a paper that was like a marbleized kind of bubble pattern that a friend of mine had done and given me. So I really love that texture behind the dolphin. I don't like the straight edges, so of course I'm going to tear. But I think I need more wave patterns. I started that with that torn blue paper on the bottom, but I think I'm going to cut a stencil and really do some layered waves. I'm just going to use cardstock. It's going to be super simple since I just really need that one edge of a wave shape. trying to add a little more motion and some lines with Posca pens, but because everything is still a little bit damp, it's not taking very well on the surface. So that's my fault for not letting it dry all the way. I think if I had let it dry all the way and maybe chosen a darker blue, like this one I'm trying to use now, I think I could have had more satisfying lines, more like I had in my mind. But I'm rolling with it, and it still makes me happy. It's still going fine. The most exciting thing is going to be stenciling on some white caps. I have a stencil, really curly Q, fancy stencil that I love using for ocean spray. I've used it quite a few times in kind of mermaid themed pages. So I think that's coming up next. I'm really happy with how it turned out. The white stencil for those waves breaking really makes me happy. It helps blend the dolphins in. They're definitely secondary to this kind of ocean color palette and wave motif, kind of motion on the page. But it was really just fun to do, and it was fun to play and experiment a little bit. I didn't use any new materials or anything radically different than the stuff that normally shows up in my art journal pages. But there was kind of a freedom to sitting down with not having a specific plan and just responding to what was happening on the page and seeing what I wanted to add to make it, visually satisfying. So I'm happy with that. I thought about maybe adding words of freedom or playfulness or joy or things like that that kind of are how I think of dolphins, but I'm happy with it as is.